Welcome back to Lostboys Cypher Circle, everybody. This is the show where we bring artists of all kinds, whether they be poets, painters, authors, any and all artists. This is a safe and secure place to come and not only get your work heard, but to be heard as a person. We like to say that this is a therapy session or a group of friends. And so in doing that, it is a genuinely safe place for any and all artists to come and share any and all art and any and all feelings that they may have, whether it be art or the world in general. Obviously, we just ask that everybody just stay respectful to one another. But other than that, this is a safe and secure place for artists to come be heard. If you have not been to the circle before, welcome. If you have, welcome back to the circle. Before we do get into our show tonight, because of the nature of the show and because it is a safe, secure place for people to come share their feelings without ridicule, I try to give a quick trigger warning. And that is not to say that everything that we do here is going to be triggering or that everything we do here is of a graphic nature or say here is of a graphic nature. That being said, there's no telling what may trigger one person and not trigger another. So again, we just ask that everybody be respectful of that, mindful of that, and we will also be respectful and mindful of that. I've been telling everybody since day one, feel free to click out at any time and come back later or not at all. We understand because we all are dealing with our own mental issues that some things may be hard to listen to or talk about. So that is the trigger warning. And with that being said, what up, man? How you been doing?
Well, honestly, this week's been kind of rough. I've been going through a lot of emotional up and downs this week, kind of battling some stuff in my own head, but also trying to navigate a war, I guess, for lack of better terms, trying to handle things. I'm not going to get into specifics, but just some issues with some family members and some stuff that I've been trying to navigate. But
you know what I'll say though, man, obviously, I don't want to go into like too much details, but I will say that you and me being family, and you said you were having issues with family, you and me being family and us having our fair share of issues. I do want to point out, like, after all the stuff that you and me have been through personally, we still sit here today and we have found some way to come to terms. And I just hope that you and the person that you're fighting with can learn to do what you and me have done in the future and just come to terms at some point.
Absolutely.
And you know what I mean? Because I care about you and I don't think that it's healthy to fight with family at all. And I have family that I dislike and that I don't even talk to, and that really I have good reasons for not talking to those people, but it really does suck because I think that having any kind of harmful or bad relationship with family is gonna harm your own mental health.
Right, and I've been doing my best trying to handle everything like an adult, handle everything responsibly, and just like I've typed out messages probably 50 times that I haven't sent, just deleted and whatever. And like I said, I'm doing my best, trying to navigate everything and be as respectful and responsible and, give people their space and whatnot. And, it is what it is at this point, but.
I totally get you on that, like typing out. I do that all the fucking time. I actually have there's a thing in your phone where you can like save messages in like your like a permanent box, right? And I typed this entire one out to somebody once, and I still have it saved there. Every time like I go to pull up my keyboard on my phone, I see it just under the text or just under the letters. It's literally like saved in my phone permanently. Like if I'm ever ready to send that message, I still have it on tap. Just to whip it out of the fucking old holster, No, but I do that all the fucking time. I'll sit there or like a Facebook post a lot, dude. Okay. And in a second, I'll show you some of the Facebook posts that I have made, but you should see compared to these, some of the Facebook posts that I decide not to make. And it's not necessarily all, just about, grudges that I have or people or, You know, because honestly, I try when I have an argument with somebody, I try not to air my shit out online. And that's why,
Right,
I
and
mean, that's specifically why we're kind of being vague about what you're going through as well, is because I try not to air my shit out online. So when I'm about to like type something, especially be it like a post or something, you know, there's always like that second
have
thought
that
of like,
second
okay,
thought. Exactly.
and that's the thing. I can like there's trust me, I don't think before I speak a lot of the time, but anyone, all these people who sit here and like tell you that they made like, I'm sorry, I made an impulsive post. Unless you're drunk, that's a different story. But still, not an excuse, just a different story. But what I'm talking about is people saying I impulsively posted something. Well, no, you didn't. Like it takes a.
You had
I
to
mean,
take the time to
it
type it
takes a
out,
whole.
post it out.
Yeah,
Right. No,
but
absolutely.
even then, there's been whole conversations, a whole post that I've like typed out and then just sat there with it for like half an hour and be like, all right, you know what?
Got
No,
it out, but
no,
it didn't go
I'm not
out.
gonna send
Kind of
this.
deal.
I'm not pressing the button on this nuke. I'm not doing it,
Right.
because and I have like I have a line in one of my pieces, my one of my recent pieces where I say I've held grenades for 7 days just to pelt them at my enemies, whatever. And that line was meant to illustrate how sometimes pressing the button on these nukes, just like you're saying, typing this stuff out or thinking about just, oh, I'm gonna get back at that guy for what he did to me, or
Retaliate. Something.
whatever it may be, like holding that grudge, like you're just letting them live in your head rent free.
And that damages
That's
you
harming
more
you.
than them, honestly, a lot of the time.
And what I was kind of saying with like the holding grenades is like eventually it's gonna explode and you're gonna be caught in that explosion. I kind of, you know, admire that you're just kind of taking the high road and just being like, okay, you know what? I could fight about this, but it's at the end of the day, it's honestly not worth fighting because it's gonna do more damage to me. So you know what? I really fucking I appreciate that, bro. I was trying to segue into kind of showing these Facebook posts that I made. Because like I was saying, there's a lot of stuff that I think about posting and then I don't. And then there's a lot of stuff that it's like, you know what? I'm gonna press the button on it. So this was a bit of advertisement slash goofing around. This is a post that I made about one of our guests slash members of our community in her book. So she has, for those of you who don't know, one of the members of our community, PR Infidel, has two books, Tales of American Idiocy and Conspiracy Crew, The End is Meow. And within them, there are this group of animals, the main character being a cat named Chester, who is their leader. And they uncover government secrets and lies and just try to bring justice to the world. And it's very George Orwellian. So this is the first post I made, right? It says, if there's anyone who could find this damn list and bring the people on it to justice, I bet it's Chester. When all else fails, send in the cat. Everyone knows cats don't accept bribes or negotiate with terrorists, unlike some bureaus of investigation we know. Where are you when we need you, little buddy? And then I put the link for her books on Amazon. She then had sent me this little thing that's Chester with a tinfoil hat, and he's got a little thought bubble. He's looking at a blueprint here. Maybe it's the Oval Office, White House, I don't know, but it says, "I'm going to steal the Epstein list." And I made the post again, and it said, "Don't worry, guys. Chester is on the case. We'll have that list in no time." And so kind of piggybacking off of that whole situation and recent things, I just posted this a couple hours ago. It says a list of things that we can count on our government for: legitimacy, integrity, empathy, and safety. Now, of course, if you looked at it, it's just lies. It's just lies.
It's just like,
That's all we can count. That's all we can count on them for. Just lies. That's it. So,
unfortunately.
but I mean, me kind of talking about her books and where to go find them, which is on Amazon, kind of kicks off our what's popping for this week. So, yeah, if you want to take us into that, by all
Yeah,
means.
absolutely. So I wanted to start off with our Lost Boy community shout outs. First up, we have Norican Poets Cafe. They host an online show every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and that's hosted by Elemental the Poet. We have Bars Battle Rap League, hosted by Tom Bland. We have the Immersive Experience podcast, hosted by Desi Liu, and she was one of our guests last week. Definitely go check her out. We have James Hamilton, who will be at the OCA Arts Center in Missouri, open mic December 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern. So if you get a chance, definitely go check him out. PR Infidel's books, which you just kind of touched on a little bit. Those are Tales of American History and Conspiracy Crew, The End is Meow. Robert Foster's books, those are on Amazon. They are Craig Island and Morgan's Mount. And then, no relation to Robert Foster, we have Chris Foster. He does Breaking Barriers. It's a class for writer's block. That's live on Instagram weekly, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. You can find him original_POETREE on Instagram, and Poetry Roots. That's ROOTZ on Linktree. We have Diva Jazz Project. Their album is Secreto e Voices. I apologize if that wasn't
I believe so. Yeah, I believe that is Latin. And he just said, hey Dylan, I'm interested in the podcast. Here's my stuff. Send me a link. Definitely go check him out. We're sharing information, working out a date for him to come on the show and play some jazz for us. So that'll be exciting. But yeah, go check that out. It is DEVA Jazz Project on Spotify and YouTube. So yeah, definitely.
And then I had just a few more things for our community. There's artfight.net. That's an annual art game / competition that lasts for about a month, beginning every July. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, the visual arts, definitely go check that out. That I've poked around a little bit. It's definitely cool. They got a lot of cool stuff on there.
I got the tip on that from Skedaddle, one of our favorite guests and members of the community, the artist who made this amazing logo you see in front of you, or I guess in front of you, behind us. Yeah. But she said, this is her just kind of description when she sent me. She said, it's a yearly battle where a bunch of artists come together for 1 month out of the year, usually starting in July. And then they get split into 2 teams this year, Crystals and Fossils. And then they attack each other using each other's drawings. And I guess there's points awarded for different things like, full body versus headshots, all different kind of categories. So it's kind of graded on a point system. And so, yeah, they just kind of like, she sent me some examples that you probably won't be able to see them very well with the glare, but she sent me some examples. Like she would send that and then her friend would attack her with that. And, whoever wins is based on how many points they get with what they've constructed in the drawing. So I thought that was really, really cool and interesting. Definitely go check that out.
Cool. And then I know a lot of our community members also follow Button Poetry. There's a ton of amazing artists on that. They have everything from spoken word to poems to collaborations and stuff. And there's like I said, there's a ton of amazing artists on there. Some of my personal favorites that I liked were Neil Hilborn, specifically one of his pieces, OCD. I was able to really connect with that a lot.
That's been out for a long time. That's actually his poem OCD for my interest into my beginning interest into spoken word and that channel in particular. I credit 2 artists and 2 poems in particular, OCD by Neil Hilborn and a poem called Reach, and that is Reach in all capital letters by Guante, Guante. 2 of the best spoken word or poems in general that I've ever heard in my life. Absolutely. Definitely go check those out. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love your input. So there another 2 more pieces that really kind of stood out to me while I was scrolling through that the other day was Darius Simpson and Scout Music Love's piece called Lost Voices. and the dynamic behind that piece is honestly incredible. It's two people, and I don't want to give anything away. Definitely go check it out. But basically, it's from like this person is speaking from this person's point of view, if that makes sense. So and they kind of go back and forth with it, and they did an amazing job with that. There was also Phil K. And his piece Surplus, and that's talking about like his grandfather's store and
I
stuff
have
like
heard that one, and I'll stop on Phil K for a second because there's an artist we mentioned last week from that's on the same channel, Sarah K. Now they have
that.
gone on tours together, poetry tours together. They look very much alike. They have the same last name. They are absolutely in no way related at all. And they actually wrote a poem about it, which is hilarious. And it's showing how, I mean, these two people from two different backgrounds ended up in the same place at the same time with the same last name and the same job. And they write similar poetry. But yeah, go check out Sarah K and Phil K for sure. For sure.
Definitely. And then more specifically toward our community, I wanted to give Laura Lynn Sands a shout out. She's an amazing author and poet. She's constantly putting stuff out on her own page, and she does some amazing work as well. Also, the Ono, which was one of our guests on the previous episode, which feel free to go check that out.
Hey, yeah, when you're seeing this, it'll already be out. So go check out season 3, episode 3 with the Ono and Desi Lou out on the channel now. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for the support.
And then also, so we have 2 new members this week. So I wanted to give them a shout out, and that's Savvy Smiles and Jessica Christini. So welcome to the circle. Glad to have you with us, and let's continue building our community.
Welcome.
So that being said, that's what I have for our community shout outs. I did want to get into a little bit of music. I don't have as many separate artists as I have in the past. However, I go into a little bit more detail. I did first and foremost, I wanted to take a moment and just talk about Ozzy. And
that's a rough one, man. That's a rough one. That's almost made me cry at work in front of people. I looked down at my phone and it was like 3 different people had sent it to me. And it was so out of left field, so unexpected, and it was crazy how it looked when I looked down at my phone and saw it, like kind of how it hit me like a crazy train. I was gonna say it hit me like a train, but I just thought that was more, it really did hit me like a personal family member. I mean, I grew up with his music, and my dad grew up with his music, and I mean it's
right.
Yeah.
I mean, he is absolutely like multi-generational, and he inspired a lot of the music and a lot of the artists that we all listen to today. And things definitely would not, especially within the music community, things would not be the way they are now if it wasn't for Ozzy.
And I don't want, and not even just musically. And we touched on this a little bit in the last episode. He is one of the artists that is always, no matter what, been about free speech and freedom of action, freedom of choice. I also touched on Eminem being one of those artists, right? There, in my mind, there would be no Eminem without Ozzy, right? Like 2 completely separate genres of music, same attitude, same mentality, right? And that has birthed rock and roll as we know it today, but also the attitude that is rock and roll, because it is possible to be rock and roll while doing something else. You know what I mean? To me, rock and roll is an attitude. And to me, rock and roll is about freedom of speech and freedom of action. and being able to do whatever the fuck I want, whenever the fuck I want, and not giving a fuck what anybody thinks about me.
Right.
You know, or how I look or how I dress or whatever it is. He embodied that, and in a certain sense, you could say that he lives on through everyone that he gave that to. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because when an artist makes music for that long and makes that kind of music, the type of music that isn't ashamed of anything, it touches everyone and it leaves a piece of that artist's soul inside everyone. And I think that the best thing that we can do is just keep being rock and roll. And that's the best thing we can do to honor his legacy. Just fucking keep it fucking rock and roll.
So breaking from that, I wanted to touch on some more music. So two of the artists that I just recently discovered, there's Citizen Soldier. He's releasing an album November 12th called Family Heirlooms. And one of the reasons why I wanted to touch on him a little bit was because he very much kind of relates to what we're doing here, what we're doing with this community, what we're doing with the show. One of his songs he actually wrote while he was in the psychiatric hospital, and he is now actually a clinical therapist. So I implore you guys to definitely go check him out. Again, that's Citizen Soldier. And then moving on, there's Dune Moss. Now, she is on the total opposite end of that. Her music feels honestly like otherworldly, very ethereal. And she's inspired by artists like Enya, M83, Bjork, stuff like that. When I first heard her voice, it honestly sent chills up my spine. And I actually found her on TikTok, believe it or not, which I guess is a lot more common nowadays. But definitely go check her out. Like, her voice is incredible, and she's only 25. She's from here in, I believe it's Ohio, here in the United States, and her voice is incredible. Somebody else, Problematic. Now, he's in the rap scene, and he's somebody that I've been following personally and listening to since I was a teenager, like a young teen. He's been putting out music, putting out music since 2017, and he's also been featured on a few things predating that, all the way back to 2007. He just released his new single, So Alone. That was released yesterday, July 22nd, along with multiple singles already released this year. So if that's your scene, definitely go check him out. He's definitely gotten a lot bigger than he was when I first found him. And he's collaborated with a lot of other artists as well. NK47 is a big one that I listen to as well. Now, moving on into a few more albums. Tyler, the Creator, just released an album called Don't Tap the Glass. That was released Monday, July 21st.
I really thought it was going to be called Don't Eat the Cockroach, but that's...
Now, I haven't really had a chance to listen to that album. That was just released. And I actually just discovered that he put that album out last night. I listened to a couple of songs on it, and they're definitely good. I have Russ. He put out a new album called Wild. I believe I've touched on that in one of the previous episodes. That album was released June 27th. Also, Double Lyrical just put out a few different singles this year. The most recent one being Gone, released Friday, July 18th. We have Joyner Lucas. He just released ADHD 2. Now, two of my favorites so far off the album are White Noise and Listen to My Demo.
Listen to My Demo. Really great song. I don't want to go too in depth or really spoil the song either, but it's a song about how he grew up and wanted to be an artist, and now he sees others like him. And Joyner Lucas has always been that kind of person who tells a good story and kind of flips both sides, so you see both perspectives of the story. So yeah, it's a really good song, really good album. Definitely go check it out.
One of the things, kind of going off what you just said, He's one of those artists that doesn't compromise bars for story. Like he very much upholds the story and has such complexity within his lines as well. Uh, so,
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely.
and then there's one more album. Slaughter to Prevail's newest album is called Grizzly, like Grizzly Bear. That was released July 18th, and it really is. It is insane if that's your type of music. And there's actually a song on the album called I'm Dead, and that is along with Ronnie Radke. Uh, so definitely go check that out. Definitely go check that out. And
Words, words.
that's what
Yeah,
I have this week.
definitely. Everybody go check out first and foremost our community, the people in our community that we mentioned first and foremost, and everybody's books, everybody's channels, everybody's podcasts, all that stuff. But that being said, we have one more thing for our What's Poppin' segment. We just have a short clip from a guest and member of our community. Some of you may know Jack or Jaskarat. He's an author, writer from Lithuania. He also does paintings that illustrate some of the scenes in his book. He's been on here numerous times reading passages from his book called Pyromancer's Destiny. And he has prepared a clip for us tonight, just kind of summarizing what has happened in the book so far, just so you guys will be familiar for next time that he is able to come on the show. He was supposed to be here tonight. Unfortunately, he was not able to make it, but I am very thankful he's able to send us this clip. So without further ado, please enjoy this small clip from Jack.
Hey guys, sorry I couldn't make it, but I'll be a full guest some other time. I just wanted to give a short summary of my story so we all know what's going on next time when I'm on. So my story is called Pyromancer's Destiny. It's a medieval fantasy with some cosmic horror overtones. So that just means that stuff is gonna get pretty crazy later on. And here's what happened so far. We start with a former elite soldier named Jaska, who used to take direct orders from the queen, but is now laying beaten to a pulp in the woods. He gets found by Artitisen, who's a crazy old wizard, and performs a bone sacrifice ritual to give Jaska mastery over pyromancy. The ritual kinda looked like this. Very horrifying. Artitisen makes him a scrap metal frame for his body because no bones. Then he gets captured for using this kind of magic, and Jaska goes looking for him. He meets a kid named Adeline, who we find out is Artitisen's student, and he comes along with her. When they enter the city, Adeline stays with Jaska's aunt because things are about to get ugly. We meet Cassandra, the queen, who kills Jaska immediately with a special mage force, but then God himself rewinds time because there's great evil afoot. So Jaska gets revived, he dodges the mages and flies away with Cassandra. They wind up in a magical circus. We meet Ferdinand, who has psychological powers, and Matthias, who has speed powers, and they all get thrown into prison immediately, except for the queen, of course. Jask and Matthias attempt escaping, but then find Ferdinand screaming on the ground about a basilisk. The queen finds them all, tries encasing them all in ice. Then Jaska tries to heat it up, Matthias tries escaping, and Ferdinand is using his psych on himself, and all of them using their powers at once alerts the basilisk, and they all get stuck in the void for a bit. And then everyone except for Jaska, they make it out, but he's left in prison in a kind of a void coma, fighting the basilisk in his head. And the basilisk, I would imagine, kinda looks like that. Then a war starts. The city is under attack and it's crumbling. Adeline, who is still in the city, tries running to the prison where Jaska is. She crawls into his cell and tries waking him up, all crying. And then when Jaska thinks he's gonna kill the basilisk with this huge blast of fire, he wakes up and shoots Adeline's head off. Then, as he's just floating there, traumatized, Adeline turns into kind of a ghostly form and starts just walking through the prison, through the walls, through some deep ruins, until she reaches her own old grave and lays down. And Jessica was floating behind her all this time in a trance. Then he snaps out of it, freaks out, flies through the floor, smashing everything in his way, and he sees his city being destroyed. And in this mental state, he just obliterates the attacking army and a third of the entire world with it. Then he just kind of turns into particles and disappears, which is where we are now. So tune in for next time. There's gonna be rabbit holes, there's gonna be basilisks, there's gonna be a lot of magic. And yeah, see you next time.
All right. Well, with that being said, guys, thank you, Jack. Can't wait to have you back. And honestly, as someone who's been along for the story, I encourage you to go back and listen to the clips of him reading the story. I'll try to actually make clips and put them out for you guys if I can. But I'm very invested in his book, and I can't wait to hear more of it. So thank you, Jack, and welcome, Toby and Patricia, PR Infidel.
Hello.
Welcome back, guys. So I will actually let you guys introduce yourselves before you read. But Miss PR Infidel has been here on many episodes, taking us on many adventures with Chester and his conspiracy friends. And Toby has actually been on since, I believe, the second episode or some shit. Like, yeah, I believe it was like the first or second episode I ever did, which is really cool to have an OG. Welcome back, guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be on again.
Thank you.
Definitely good to have you guys.
So I think I sent you this poem before. I didn't perform it on
You
the show.
also sent the artwork that I did not have a chance to get on to the actual stream, but here it is. This is the artwork for one of the pieces that she's going to be doing tonight. But all right, well, if you are volunteering to go first, then what we'll do is we'll just get all three of us out of here, and we'll let you kind of introduce yourself, and then you can read whichever piece you'd like first, and then after the piece, we'll just come up for a little commentary before your second one.
Sure, that sounds good. All right, so I'm PR Infidel. I'm a satirist, which means that I take societal ills and I kind of make fun of them using animals and some of other allegorical devices. And this poem is about what happens when Americans finally have enough of some of these evil people that are hurting us, and we take matters into our own hands. Long story short, we get some sharks to help us out. But the sharks have a little bit of a problem. You see, they're bougie. Well, you'll see what I mean. And with that, I'd like to read my poem, The Sharks Must Be Bougie. Dearest Billy Bob and Bubba, hearty hugs and happy huzzas to the revolution you just threw. So gritty and so raw. It was quite the thing to see, with my shark pups snuggled up, especially when the spoils in our ocean piled up. And as for our agreement, we sharks went straight to work, eating every pedophile chemtrail pilot and New World Order jerk. The work is going well, as we're disposing of the schmucks. Well, except for one small problem. Evil has a taste that sucks. And oh, we hate to be so picky. We hate to be bourgeois. But the problem with these villains is you just can't eat them raw. Be it known that we're not asking to alter our agreement, just requesting some small favors to make our work convenient. So we propose a solution with both our needs in mind. Send us tasty condiments to make this feast divine. For example, the murderers were soaking in a salty marinade, but they'd be better with some lemons. That's why I'm writing here today. And then there is the matter of the Epstein client list, which I'm unhappy to report tastes an awful lot like piss. Perhaps it's because during capture they rightly peed themselves. Still, it's nothing can be fixed with the spices on your shelves. So would you toss some tarragon with your next wood chipper made chum? And when you throw in the communists, throw in some Captain Morgan rum. Saffron sprinkled on politicians would make them taste so nice, as would a hearty helping of yellow Goya rice. And as for the traitors who were letting in invaders, I think they'd do well garnished with a side of potatoes. Oh, that's potatoes, as you country folk must know. But enough of my blather. I've more requests to go. As I'm sure you can imagine, my shark pups also need to dine, so serve crooked cops with tater tots, as their tastes are less refined. And for the political Islamists, who would put you under Sharia law? Well, we're barbecuing them, so kindly give us some coleslaw. With these hustlers, please serve custard, as they're rash and angry on the tongue. I know that's an odd description, but at least they'll soon be done. And the judges who shelter criminals have a sadly gamey taste that needs tiki marsala, served with zesty garlic paste. But if you really must feel evil, with a horrid sense of dread, be a dear and put some laser guns right on our heads. And oh, we hate to be so picky. We hate to be bourgeois. But the problem with these villains is you just can't eat them raw. But if you meet these humble requests, we promise quite the show. Tomorrow we'll have a feeding frenzy, and we'd like you all to go. Bring your phones and hit record, for gore's a sure deterrent. To make abusing Americans and your Constitution seem abhorrent, upload it to your glowing boxes and charge 10 bucks a pop. And I promise within days you'll have the national debt paid right off. And please don't share with us. We sharks do not need cash. Just properly season the riffraff, as we have humbly asked. Well, that is all for now, dear friends. Good morrow and good day. We sharks will pause our work until the fixings come our way. Quite affectionately and sincerely, Sir Reginald the First. Not the best shark in the ocean, but certainly not the worst. When Billy Bob and Bubba finished reading, they took a little rest. Then Bubba shrugged and said, "Them sharks is just bougie, I guess."
That was awesome.
Damn sharks
Love
just
it.
booty, I guess. Oh man, boy,
Yeah.
have I missed that. I mean, you have this like a knack of just making me absolutely furious, terrified, while I'm almost pissing my pants laughing at the same time. It is quite the unique talent. I mean, that is the type of piece that is at home in a lecture hall or a comedy hall, you know, and that is so unique.
It's not even just
Oh,
the it's the delivery. The
Oh,
delivery.
absolutely.
the
Yeah.
the accents. Oh man, the accents really do it. They. You're right. You're right. It's
Yeah.
it's the delivery. It's all of it. Oh man,
It's a good thing that like you can't hear us off camera because I was definitely laughing through that. That was awesome. That was amazing, please.
Thank you. I'm glad you had fun with it. I figured, Shark Week, so I'll go ahead and read that. That one I had a lot of fun.
The personality that you inject into even just a short little poem like that, like it becomes its own story, its own little pocket universe.
I mean, and I don't know. I think every creature on this earth has its purpose, and I love sharks too. I love all animals. I think, honest to God, one of these days I'm going to die trying to hug something vicious. I really think that's going to happen to me. I'm going to be that person that gets mauled by like a tiger or something. But yeah, I like sharks. If I could get close to one, I would. And I just started thinking about, if we ever really did say enough, who would we get to help us out? You know what? We would get some sharks because they're like the garbage disposals of the ocean, and they would help us. But what if these people were so evil they tasted bad? And so then I kind of went with that, and I'm like, that's really funny. I'm gonna go with that. So
It definitely was. That was awesome.
yeah,
I love that.
thank you.
Awesome. Your second piece here is going to be a little excerpt from something new you're working on.
Yeah.
So by all means, you can introduce that. talk as little or as much about it as you would like. And yeah, we will get out of here.
All right, so this next piece is from Conspiracy Crew, The Burning Earth. If you're not familiar with the Conspiracy Crew, it's basically this group of pets that they kind of get into government conspiracies and they try to expose evil, and by doing that, save their humans. For this next piece, they are on the island of Maui. They've just witnessed the Lahaina fires, and they're kind of hiding out in this homeless camp, okay? But one of them, which is the iguana, he's actually a lizard person because he's mixed with human DNA. And so he has a part-time job. So he's trying to kind of get that online in this homeless camp so he can still work. And so it kind of starts from there, but then something interrupts him, okay? So this is from Conspiracy Crew, The Burning Earth. I'm going to get fired, Mr. He grumbled as he hit the side of Dave's laptop to try and get it to focus. Beside him, Tommy the tortoise frowned. You're a technical support agent, and the best you've got to get your own glowing box online is whack-a-mole? Mr. He smirked. Ironic, isn't it? Without looking at the computer, he again smacked the top of the screen, and the support portal materialized. Mr. He let out a whoop of victory. I'm out a moment too soon. My shift starts in 3 minutes. But no more had Tommy's screen came online than a static echoed over the computer. Chester, come in, Chester. We've got a situation. It was Hal, the lab rat. Somehow, he had found a way through Mr. He's Cyber Smarties work server. Chester rushed to the computer. Hal, what is it? It's big, real big. What was it again? Your notes, Hal. Look at your notes. Chester yelled over the mic, remembering that Hal was brain damaged from all his time as a lab rat working at Cypher. Oh, right. There was a sound of rustling paper, and then the lab rat's voice echoed over the chat. Instead of just testing drugs on the animals, they're going to do things to the animals that give them abilities. Weird abilities. What kind of abilities, Mr. He asked. Abilities no animal should have, said Hal. They're putting brain chips in them, man. And the chips do things. Chester and Mr. He looked at each other. Then Chester said, what do the chips do, Hal? They control the weather. There was silence. Mr. He said, we'll keep a look on it for it, but we may not be in the best location to do research right now. See, we're on the island of Maui. Are you kidding me? That's the best location, said Hal. The experimental animal community says there's a secret lab there. There was a rustling of paper as Hal looked at his notes to jog his memory. It's underground. It's like a section of the Navy is heading or something. Underground, Chester said, then dashed away. Listen, Hal, Mr. He said, I would love to chat, but I have to go. I've got to start taking support calls, real support calls. But we will check it out. We'll be in touch, okay? Okay, over and out. Chester raced past the boundaries of the homeless encampment, heart pounding, paws flying, until he came upon the crest of a hill from which the whole island was visible. There, Darushka was silently staring out over the beach, looking toward where Rocky and Bonnie had gone a few minutes earlier. She didn't turn around, but heard his approach and spoke a greeting. What is it, darling? I heard from Hal that the elites are trying to make the weather modification. They're trying to take it to a whole other level, Chester said. They're putting brain chips in animals. Zarishka turned and looked at him sadly. You know how these ghouls, darling. Of course, Chester shuddered. Humans always start experiments on animals, but they never stop with animals. The ultimate goal is to put the chips in humans. Think bigger, darling. They want to become gods, Chester said. But elites have wanted to become gods for a long time. That's nothing new. Darushka jumped down from the crest of the lookout hill. The is ultimate goal. And what better way to become God than control weather? Chester looked down at his paws. That won't make them become gods. No abilities will. But human arrogance and ambition are a powerful deterrent to logic and ethics. They will not stop until they are stopped. So, we stop them. Where did Hal say lab was? Hal said the lab was on the island somewhere, underground. Darushka said. Kremlin did say something about lab, but also give no location. This may be an island, but it's a big one, Chester said thoughtfully. We should wait for the dogs to get back. They're used to tracking and smelling weird stuff. Their noses are our best bet. Duh, Darushka agreed. We'll need more than good noses, though. Chester trembled a little as he looked at her. You don't mean. Darling, Darushka concurred, green eyes sparkling. I think it's time we share with canine friends the secrets of spiritual communication. It's time we share cardboard box. And that's all I have right now.
Oh man. As always, I absolutely am enthralled by your stories, and kind of what Toby said before, it really is absolutely the delivery. I mean, and I just tell you how much I am growing to love. What is it? Darushka? Is that how you pronounce her name?
Darushka. Yeah, Darushka.
That might be one of my new favorite characters too. One of my new favorite characters. Yeah. The presentation and the accent and just everything about it. It just has so much life and so much character. But I will also say, when you said a better way to become gods than to control the weather, that gave me chills for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds crazy. I mean, I understand it sounds crazy, but there are actually videos, of the Rothschilds and some of these upper echelon people talking about becoming gods. Like they honest to God think that they can do this. And so, of course, you go back to some of these ancient cults and some of the ancient religions. What was the first thing that scared them? The first thing they prayed for, all this other stuff, was the weather, right? It's a very ancient primordial fear that's kind of embedded in human beings. And so you control the weather, that gives you godlike abilities. So this book is heavy on the conspiracy of government weather modification. And it's heavy on the theory that our government is not really representative, but is controlled by some people that do not have our best interests at heart and have world domination, at heart. So you can take that theory and make of it what you want, but the only thing I ask is that you consider it and think about it and let it open your mind. And that's all.
And that's in its essence what freedom of speech is all about. Is, listen, you don't have to like it, you don't have to agree with it, but I ask that you hear it. I ask that you hear me. I want to be heard, and I want just the possibility for some kind of conversation,
right?
Because that is the first step in any kind of change, is just opening your mind to the possibility of someone else's perspective.
Absolutely.
Right.
That definitely makes me eager to hear more about it too. I'm gonna have to get your books that you already have, and definitely once this one comes out.
I would want to say I would love to read your other books, because that was amazing, and it sounds like you put a lot of extra thought into this and how you portray it across these different characters. It sounds awesome.
Thank you. A lot of people have told me that it's almost like back in the day when you watch Saturday morning cartoons. A lot of people said it's kind of like that, but it also makes them think a little deeper. And that's my job as a satirist, is to make people kind of think a little deeper. I've been called very right wing, but I don't agree with that. What I agree with is that I'm a truth seeker, and that, my stuff might sound right wing just because you're not used to hearing it from what Chester would say is the glowing boxes, right? The TVs. But it's really just about finding out what the truth is and considering things that maybe are sadly kind of taboo in our society. But why are they taboo? Are they taboo because they're crazy, or are they taboo because someone wants you to not go there because you might discover the truth? So.
Right. And going back to history a little bit, and what you were saying about Saturday morning cartoons, particularly cartoons, comics, and also just the little funnies in the papers, those were all not invented for kids. The first cartoons and comics were made to comment on things that were going, and it started back with Rockefeller and the monopolies, and that little Monopoly guy from the board game is it's a joke. It's basically it's a piece of satire in and of itself, and that little cartoon guy is representative of a bunch of comic strips that they made back in the day, commenting on the monopolies that these families were having, over the industries, oil and whatnot. And the funny thing is monopolies didn't go away; they just got sneakier. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, comics are some of my favorite examples of that. Wonder Woman and Captain America, in particular, are some of the first comics that were very much political propaganda. You know,
Yeah, they were.
and I do love that your work that has that aspect to it, and you're kind of like continuing the legacy of cute, funny things taking a stand. I really love that.
It kind of like breaks the ice a little bit because specifically when you're talking about, these sort of topics, it's when it's all like suit and ties and whatnot, like it's very hard for people to be able to connect with it. So while you're doing like the animals and in that form, it makes it easier to kind of connect with it in that sense because it's not so strict, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. There's a little wiggle room to put your own spin on it in a way that just make you think. That's my point and my purpose at the end of the day is think, and don't just think in one direction. Just open your mind. I mean, people that say that they manipulate the weather get called conspiracy theorists, but if you look up Operation Popeye, I mean that that crap happened in the 60s during Vietnam.
Right.
You know, what are they doing these days? I mean, it's been what, 50 years, 50 plus years since then. I mean, I'm sure they've advanced the technology at least some. So,
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I absolutely adore your work and the this little universe that you've built and all these amazing characters, and I can't wait to hear more. And I mean, I don't have to wait very long. As soon as we're done recording here, I can go and read your book because I bought your first book and I haven't even finished it yet. So I got to get through your first book
Oh, yeah.
and finish, and
There
then
you
get
go.
into your second book, hopefully in time for this third one to come out.
It's going to be a little while for the third one because I want to get it right. Um, I mean, I'm dealing with some very difficult stuff here. But I do have another one coming out that we'll talk about later. I don't want to pull you into that right now. I want to get to our next guest, but we can do a segment from that on a separate show if you'd like. So
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. Message me I tell every guest this. Message me privately and anything and all things that you would like me to. We'll find a way to incorporate them into the What's Poppin'.
We're actually going to be posting the What's Poppin' segment as its own video up on YouTube and
okay,
probably Facebook as well.
And not only will it be its own video, but it will be a clip from the episode that you haven't even seen yet. It'll be a preview of the upcoming episode that we haven't released, so like I'll cut this one and this one will go up, on Monday, a week or two before we even release this episode. So it'll be a cool sneak peek for people, and it's a news segment, so we want to keep it somewhat current, up to date,
Right.
So yeah,
gotcha.
like, but any and all things, just message me and we'll figure out a way to get them in there.
Sounds good.
That being said, if you would like to introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you're about, and which piece you're going to be reading first.
So my name is Toby Lee. Like was said before, I've been on since episode 2, kind of went on a small hiatus. I am primarily a poet, and that's mostly what I bring whenever I come to this show is just poetry. Most of my poetry discusses topics of mental health. So a lot of discussion of mental illness, loneliness, depression, things of that nature. So one of those things kind of trigger warning ahead of time whenever it comes to my works because some of them can get really dark. This first poem that I am reading is When I Knew. It's something that I actually wrote a few months ago. I knew I was getting worse whenever I couldn't socialize anymore. It felt like such a chore to smile, to ask everybody how they were doing, and pretend that I wanted to be there whenever all I really wanted was to be shut in my room in the pitch black and nothing to listen to nothing but the voices and thoughts in my head that told me this is what I deserve. Maybe I also knew I was getting worse whenever I couldn't go a night without a glass of straight bitter whiskey. And every day it was all I could think about. Just get to that one glass. You will be fine afterwards. And I would smile and nod at the lie of relaxation my mind chose to be my coping mechanism. I knew I was getting worse whenever I couldn't tell the truth to my therapist because all the misconceptions made me so angry that I wanted to yell and scream. So I lied, told her exactly what she wanted to hear, that I'm doing better. I have a job, I can drive, I'm seeing this one person that I like. We're going on our third date in a few days and probably just a movie and dinner, but they're absolutely amazing. And yet I didn't know if that beautiful, courageous person would truly like me behind the mask. I knew I was getting worse when it felt like a chore to breathe or eat or even make myself get in my bed in order to make a futile attempt to recharge for the next day. And maybe I want help, but I couldn't seem to break the vicious cycle of feeling better only to go downhill and feel like I have to start all over again. It's frustrating, angering, and I say the least makes me want to throw the towel in. But I don't because I have duties now, right? I have people who care for me, right? I have things to say and goals in mind, and so I can't just throw my hands up, right? But it's hard. I feel like slipping away by the minute and have nothing to stop it other than another drink. So maybe I'll just get one more to get through the day.
Well, first of all, I just want to say that whenever you come on, your pieces are incredibly powerful, and I personally can relate to a lot of them within my own life and my own stories. And I just want you to know that whatever you're going through, whatever you're dealing with, there are people who care. You're not alone, and that's the whole point of this show.
He took the words right out of my mouth. But I was also going to say, immediately I connected with every single word from start to end. I have been in that exact position, waiting for that exact cup of whiskey. And yeah, just to reiterate what he said, you're absolutely never alone. Don't ever think that you're alone, because there are people who understand, me being one of them.
I just wanted to say that I really liked the first few lines. I related to those the most because a few years ago I was in a situation where I was expected to be very, very, very social, and that's not me. I have certain people that I like to be around. I'm very picky with who I keep company with and this sort of thing, but I had to keep company with this group of people. It's a long story why. And it just wasn't my cup of tea. So it was very stressful to me. So that really brought me back to that time in my life. And thank God it's over now. And I can hang out with who I want now. But yeah, it was very relatable.
Yes, it's definitely those first few lines, like the masking. I'm a preschool teacher now, so it's like you kind of have to. But it's also like you kind of like go through the day and you're so stressed and tense, and then you get home and you still feel tense because you're still around people, and you just kind of want to like throw your hands up and just say, "I'm done with everything."
I think that's something that most, if not all, of our community members can relate to in one way or another. Also, another thing that I wanted to say as far as that goes is you've already made it through your worst days. Simply being here and being able to write about it is not only incredible, but also very empowering. So I implore you to keep going on with your journey.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, but also something I wanted to say: the fact that you have made it this far is proof enough. which is kind of what he was saying. But also, you mentioned that you're a preschool teacher, and I've seen some of your posts, and just some of those stories, like they make just reading them. I'll tell you right now, just reading some of the stories that you post of just some of the silly things that those kids say, it makes my day. So I can only imagine how it feels for you, and I would just say that, like, that in and of itself is a reason to get up in the morning and a reason to get out of bed. Just from what I've seen you post on your Facebook.
It
Um,
is. They're crazy,
um,
but I love them.
and that's kids in a nutshell.
Yeah.
That is pretty much any child in a nutshell. That was a really great piece though, and a really very relatable piece. One other thing I wanted to say from like an artistic standpoint is that, and I want a lot of people to take note of this, is that you don't need any kind of uh, traditional structure to write a good poem. That poem, for all intents and purposes, could have been a journal entry, right?
Hmm.
But it could also be performed on a stage. And
Yes.
there are people who will sit there and tell you all day that you need structure to write a poem, and that, and they'll go through a list of things that you need that make a good poem. But don't let
Yes.
anybody ever fucking tell you that, because as long as you are being real and true to yourself and expressing how you feel, it's poetry. And that was
Yes.
a fucking prime example of it.
Yeah. I've never been somebody. Whenever I was learning how to do like poems, like in high school, like they're like talking about like structures of poetry. Like I've never been able to do it. Like you have to have this many syllables in this line and this many syllables in the other line, or it has to be structured like this. I've never been able to do that. It really wasn't until like so much later, whenever I was in college, that like I actually started writing.
And that's the thing about art, poetry, writing, music, anything. What works for one person may not work for the next, and that doesn't make it any less or any better than anybody else's. It's different and it's passionate, and that's exactly what it is. As long as you are passionate in what you are writing, it is art and beautiful in itself.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely, absolutely. But you got another piece for us here. The temple.
Yes.
I'll let you get into it.
So this one is the temple. They say that my body is a temple, that you should shower it in love and praise and worship. The temple you are given to love is the only one you will ever be given. And yet I look upon my ruined temple, covered in cobwebs, cracks, and pictures or paintings that have been tilted and muddied beyond recognition. I look at the vandalism depicting hands or vile words and symbols, at the heart that refuses to function, and the brain that brought it back to this wreck of a place. I stopped loving this temple years ago, and I realize now it is hard to regain love for the ruins of what once was beautiful. And that's it. I'm still working on it.
First of all, poems. I have found that some of the shortest poems have been some of the best. But also, I really want to see more people coming on here and sharing stuff that they're still working on. That is something that, like, I've been meaning to do a lot more of myself, or just where it's like, and I
Doesn't make
think I
it
said this
any
on
less
the last
powerful.
episode. Right, absolutely. And I think I'm someone, I said this on the last episode. I'm someone who tries to make each line like its own poem. Like, each line that you read says something, and you are very much that kind of person where you could take out just one line of your piece, it has a message. The other thing I wanted to say is, I understand, again, what it's like to feel like you deserve the self-deprecation, and or the self-mutilation, or you know I know what it's like to feel like um you deserve the worst. And yeah, I just wanted to tell you that you absolutely deserve the best. And you, first and foremost, are the person that needs to know that. And I heard, I think it was NF, one of the artists to listen to, he said something about, and I don't want to quote him verbatim, but it was, how do you expect anyone else to believe in you if you don't?
Yes,
And that's something I try to live by every day, and I really do get how hard it is.
yes, it is, and things happen, and it's kind of hard after certain things happen, trauma wise or depression wise, that like you can like really like be like, okay, like get up, get yourself together, do the things that you're supposed to do. Like it's that poem was written after um some things happened in like my past relationship, which I've told you some smaller things about in a previous episode, but I like I was so out of it and in such an awful place and went into self harm and another relapse in eating disorder, and it was bad. But I'm slowly doing better. Slowly but surely
Good.
we're
I'm
getting there.
really I'm really happy to hear that, and for people who just showed up here, I've been doing this show now for about 2.5 years. Maybe we're closing in on 3, I think. And you were there from the very beginning, and um, I have always seen something in you that I knew that no matter what darkness you were in, you were gonna find your way to fight out of it. Because from the very first episode, I got this sense of inner strength and outer insecurity, but inner strength.
Yes,
And I think that you're finding your outer security with your inner strength, and it's a beautiful thing to witness and have known you, and just you know no matter what goes on, whether you come on the show or not come on the show, just know that we always here for you. And that's like I said, I have tried my absolute best to just keep in touch with you and check up on you throughout the years, because um, I saw that in you, and yeah, I also try to
yes, and
genuinely give a shit about other people.
yeah. I've really appreciated your guys' presence through everything because it's kind of been like being around you guys or just writing poetry in general or art or short stories has been the thing that has gotten me through all the shit.
I'm good.
uh,
That's good to
I
hear.
I I can't think of anything else that has been better over the years for me mentally and to keep me going than that.
That's
Something I
that's,
want to say
that's
off that
really
too. You know, being just because the temple, so to speak, is in ruins, that leaves so much room to rebuild and to create an entirely new temple and to build it into a monument within itself. It holds the bones of the original temple, maybe, but it allows you to now create something absolutely beautiful moving forward.
Yes, it does.
The first thought that came to my mind when I heard your poem was "Burn the Glowing Boxes." You probably aren't familiar with that, but that's from Chester, where he burns the glowing boxes because they're giving the humans the wrong messages. He basically sets a bunch of TVs on fire. Um, and I think that TVs give us the wrong messages about our bodies. And of course, that leads us to be overly critical. Of course, there's always room for improvement. You want to eat the right things, hit the gym, all that sort of thing. That you should do that. But at the end of the day, someone is always going to have something negative to say. Um, so you cannot compare yourself using the world standards. Um, there's a better standard out there. Okay, but you have to find it.
Yes, and I'm very slowly working on that and trying not to compare because
Yeah.
You are absolutely right with that, and it is so hard nowadays, especially with TikTok. When you go on TikTok and every person you see is in incredible shape and driving a $50,000 to $100,000 car. You know what I mean?
yes,
And it is and it's teenagers in their 16, 17, 19, 20-year-old kids with six-pack abs and Lamborghinis, and it's like, how am I supposed to compare myself to that? You don't. You
yeah,
don't. And that's unrealistic, and
You
it sucks that that's all you see.
yeah,
yes,
you can't use the world standards. There's a better standard out there. And the other thing you have to understand is some of those people are being paid. Of course, here goes my foil hat again, but just listen and make of it what you want. A lot of those people are being paid to be, yep, loyal to the foil right here, to engineer society in a certain way. I think some of them are being paid to demoralize, although they don't understand that that's what they're doing. Perhaps they just know they have money in cars, whatever. Um, and so it's a demoralization tactic in a way. So that's my theory, and that's why I say at every opportunity, burn the glowing boxes and find a different avenue for entertainment.
Absolutely.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Well, with that being said, guys, before we get you out of here, we have this one little segment we do with guests before we get them out of there, and it's called Goalpost. And we set 2 goals for the week: an artistic goal and a personal goal. I believe you kicked us off in our last one, so I will start us off this time. For a personal goal, I'm going to make an effort to read more. And also, kind of my personal recommendation this week, there are books that were released in the late 80s, early 90s. The first book is called So You Want to Be a Wizard, and they're young adult books, but back when young adult was actually like nowadays adult fiction, back when they put real shit in young adult books and when it was like written well. I don't know. I recently stumbled upon them. I remember seeing them as a kid, but never picking them up. Really good books. And I want to make an effort to read not only that, but Miss Patricia's book, and we mentioned a few other authors on here, and just want to make an effort to read overall more and read particularly our community's work more. That's my personal goal. And then for an artistic goal, I want to step back into spoken word. It's been a while since I've stepped into spoken word and really dip my toes in and made a good spoken word poem. So I kind of want to step back into that, and kind of step a little farther away from the rap and the rhyming poetry. And that's my artistic goal and my personal goal. Kick it off to you, bro.
Cool. So for personal goal, I want to better realize not only my triggers, so to speak, but also be able to work on navigating certain issues and be able to conduct myself appropriately, conduct myself like an adult and responsibly. In the past, I've been known to kind of be pretty hot headed and, just kind of go off of a whim, so to speak. Um, so as my personal goal, I really just want to conduct myself more, not as an adult, so to say, but just a little bit more responsibly. Um, as an artistic goal, um, I want to start writing more. I've been writing, kind of going back and forth between writing my book a little bit, which I've talked about here and there on previous episodes. But I really want to start writing what comes to my mind as it comes. Oftentimes, I tend to put things off, so then they kind of get lost. So I just really want to or need to just start writing as it comes to me.
And yeah, we can kick it to Patricia, my left on the screen.
So I have a poem I'm working on about wolves. And so I'd like to finish that one because I think you guys are really going to like it. And so that would be my professional. Personal, I think there is there's just kind of a deep sadness in the world right now. I kind of feel almost like we live in a dystopia. Like there's a disturbance in the force. So I think I'm going to be doing a lot more prayer this week, just for uncovering what those forces are and their destruction. So definitely. So
May the force be with you.
that's what I'm going to be. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And Toby, I believe that leaves it on you.
I think for the personal goal, I'm going to get registered for college classes again. Because I need to do that. I've been putting that off. And then artistic wise, I want to get back into writing short stories. I've not done it in quite a while, and I have just a bunch of characters that are just kind of piling up, and I've not done anything with them. Try and yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you and I, once upon a time, if I'm not mistaken, you and I, once upon a time, were working on some kind of character development, weren't we?
We were trying
I
to get together some sort of dystopian like prison type of story, and then we both kind of fell off the grid at the end.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Message me privately, and we can go back over that. I'll have to like scroll up in our messages and like see what's there and whatnot. But yeah, definitely message me privately about that.
Absolutely, I will.
Cool. Well, with that being said, guys, thank you so much for being here. Again, this would not be anything without you guys. You guys are what make it what it is. Nobody wants to watch me or me and my brother just sit here and talk for 2 hours. And certainly, you know, the community would not be what it is without you and people, especially Toby, like you, who feel lost and can go take a hiatus from the show for however long and still come back a family member and a friend. And you guys have been both part of this community for a very long time. I want to say thank you so much for being such a big part of this community.
Absolutely,
You're
I
welcome.
love being part of it.
It's definitely been a pleasure having you both on, and I hope to hear more. I definitely want to check out your books and get those. But I am so eager to hear more about both of you guys, both your stories and your pieces and your work that you guys are doing. So I just want to say thank you again for being here and being part of this community.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you guys for having us.
You're quite welcome. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you. By all means, feel free to put anything and everything up on the Lost Boys Facebook page and send me anything and everything. We will catch you guys on the next one.
Absolutely.
Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Dude, I gotta tell you, man, some of my favorite guests, and I say that with every one of our guests. I know, I'm a fucking broken record, but man, they all are. They fucking all are. But first impressions is just, I am so glad to be back in general, us being back, and I'm so glad to experience the wonder and joy and fear that is Patricia's stories. And I am over the fucking moon that we got to have Toby back,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
literally from day one, and the OGs are really what make this show what it is. You know, it's something special we just found early on that I tried to never let go of. And, you know, having the people who kind of started it with me, you know, continue on the journey is just, it's a blessing. It really is.
Oh, absolutely. No, it really was incredible, and I really am so looking forward to hearing more about all their pieces. But I definitely need to get Patricia's books. You had showed me a little bit of it, and especially with, like we had stated, especially like her delivery in the stories, like those are incredible. Like I said, it's a good thing you can't hear us when we're off camera, because I was sitting there cackling.
Just, oh yeah, it is. And it's so, I mean, again, I'm a broken record, but it's so rare that someone can be that funny while at the same time being that impactful and that
Makes you
just
critically think.
right. Yeah. It's an amazing talent. And on the flip side of that, Toby is writing these pieces that, if I didn't know any better, I would think that I wrote them in a fugue state, or like while I was half awake or something like that, right?
Oh,
I
absolutely.
immediately, from word one to the last word, man, I'm there. I am that person. I feel every bit of it, and it's because it's, you, not only have I been to a lot of what, you know, what he's talking about in his pieces, but the way it's worded,
Right.
comes off very relatable, right? It comes off like a journal entry. It comes off like, you know, he's kind of just talking to himself. And most pieces are talking to an audience, right?
Right.
And that one is introspective, and I really appreciate that. Yeah, man, just two fantastic artists, and a great show. Man.
Oh, absolutely. No, it's definitely been great having them both up, and I look forward to having them back up again.
Yeah. So real quick before we do kind of shimmy on out of here, if there is anything you wanted to share, I'll give you the opportunity. I do have a piece that I will share. The piece I am going to be sharing, it's an older piece. Some of you may have heard it before.
I'm gonna get myself out of here, and I'm gonna allow you to do your thing, because I have something
Yeah.
that I just wrote the other night, that I kind of, in a sense, it kind of piggybacks off PR Infidel's books a little bit.
All right, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Word. All right. So this piece is called Gray. Now I told you guys I want to kind of get back into spoken word, and this is what I mean when I say spoken word. Obviously, all words are spoken unless they're signed, but you get what I'm saying. This is the particular style of poetry that you will find most often on the site that we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, Button Poetry. That slam, it's often called slam poetry. But this is kind of just relating to and piggybacking off of a lot of the topics that we've discussed tonight, both relating to the government, free speech, free thinking. Anyway, this poem is called Gray. This is a poem written between the darkest hours of the night and the brightest hours of the morning. Written between slightly intoxicated and not nearly drunk enough. Between roaring self-confidence and teetering insecurity. This is a poem written not in black nor in white, but in the gray ink that blots out the story of our existence. This is not a guns rights protest, nor is it an NRA convention. This is me bringing a knife to the gunfight. This is not about siding with the left or siding with the right. It's about looking down the center of the field and trying to find an opening. This is not about whether you stand for what you believe in or you kneel for what you believe in. It's about finding common ground. I'm not talking about black power, and I'm certainly not talking about white supremacy. This poem is a newborn mixed race baby meeting either one of their parents for the first time, because that baby just wants to be held and rocked, doesn't care what color the fucking cradle is. This is not a woman's rights movement, and it's not a man's power struggle. This is that quiet moment of clarity and silence right after the fight, when you're both sitting there wishing things hadn't gotten so heated, wondering why they did and why you wasted so much goddamn energy on it in the first place. And despite what it may seem, this is not a protest or a speech. This is not a public service announcement or a come to Jesus moment. This is not a rallying point for the masses. It's not a call to arms or my attempt to make you see the light. But what we do need to see is the other side of the fight. See, at the end of the day, we're all the same, no matter who we choose to ridicule or who we blame. At the end of the day, your problems are my problems, and his problems are her problems, and them's problems are they's problems. And I know somebody's probably going to have a problem with how I use those pronouns. And maybe that's part of the problem. But regardless, my point is that these are our problems, because this is our home. This is our future. And no matter what borderlines, oceans, genders, races, religions separate us, we can't afford to be divided anymore. We are tearing ourselves apart. They say the best way to hide something is in plain sight. Maybe that's why we can't see all of this gray. Maybe it's because our world is so overwhelmingly enveloped in it that we've become blind. It feels like we're all just drifting through some endless wasteland of thick fog, and we keep bumping into each other like a badly rehearsed play, because we can't see how or where our path intersects with anyone else's. Look, I know things are just so much more certain when you stay on the beaten path and keep your eyes looking down at your own feet. I know it's so much safer to ignore what you can't see. And I know it's so much easier to just carry on pretending that the world is black or white through the rose-colored glasses that society has forced you to wear. But I promise you, once you take them off, once you pick your head up and pay attention to the gray that's all around you, your world will explode into a rainbow of colors, and you'll finally be able to see all of the colorful paths that have been laid out in front of you this whole time, like the crayon scribbled maze in the back of a children's menu. What I'm trying to say is, maybe we just need to grow up and see the bigger picture. Yes, you might have to use a little brain power. Yes, you might have to read between the lines occasionally. And yes, you might have to develop a little fucking empathy to see it. But I promise you, it's there. Even in the air you breathe as you hear these words. Because this is a poem written between having the room to breathe and gasping for air. Between being completely exhausted and more awake than I've ever been. This is a poem about right and wrong. About life and death. About you and me. About the choices we've made and the choices we decided not to make. About what we know and what we haven't grasped quite yet. Because all we know is that we exist. Everything else is perception, isn't it? And that is gray.
Damn, bro. Damn.
Have you not heard that one before?
I think I may have, but it has been a very long time. I mean, you
Yeah.
and I seen a lot of our pieces kind of back and forth, and like bits and pieces of them, kind of as we're building too. But I mean, that is incredible and very not only introspective, but it faces a lot of the problems that we have nowadays.
Part of kind of what I was trying to say is that at the beginning, at least, this is not me trying to face those problems. It's me trying to show them to others and not make them face it, but give them the, like Patricia was saying before, all I can do is offer you my truth, right? It is completely up to you whether you believe it, but all I can do is offer you my truth. That is that again, and that's how I end the piece. Everything is perception, isn't it? That's so yeah, it's less about facing the issues and more about
Realizing there is one.
Pulling back the curtain.
Right. It is crazy to me how, like, yes, our guests send us their pieces or the names of their pieces, but it is so crazy to me how, like, unplanned yet perfect all our pieces tend to line up with each other. And very much like Patricia's pieces, very much like the piece that you just read. Mine also, the one that I'm going to be sharing tonight, it also very much is my truth or our truth, and it presents problems that are going on that it just asks to be heard.
I think that's a common theme tonight is it asks to be heard. And you're right. We absolutely, and it's again, harkening back to what I've said on past episodes about us resonating on kind of the same pluck of the guitar chord, that same tone, that same vibration. And somehow, because you're right, they send us the titles of their pieces, but in no way are we planning for either of these artists to have anything to do with one another or to have conversations that relate to other things that we've already been talking to our community or that pieces that we've are presenting. And somehow it all just kind of, all of those things just kind of meld together, right? They all just fall into place without us having to force them into place. And that is the amazing thing about this community, about this show. So yeah, you're absolutely right. With that being said, though, yeah, man, I will drop myself out of here, and I will let you do your thing.
Cool. All right. This is called Ash Beneath the Anthem, a declaration by Karnan. This is not a protest. This is not hate. This is the fire lit by love for a country that's forgotten how to feel. If you've ever felt like something's wrong but couldn't name it, this is for you. I don't want to burn the flag. I just want to burn the blindfold. You asked what makes America the greatest country in the world? Let me break that with bone against steel. It's not the flag, not the anthem, not the pledge, not the bombs bursting in air while they lock children in cages. Not Wall Street, not Hollywood, not the illusion of freedom dressed as capitalism. No. If there is greatness here, it's not in the marble halls. It's in the cracked sidewalks. It's the voices that were never meant to speak, speaking anyway. It's the dissidents, the punks and prophets, the undocumented dreamers, the chain breakers, the pain carvers, the addicts who claw back to life, the poor who refuse to bow, the ones who lost everything and still built art from the ashes. You ask what makes America great? You. The ones who refuse to kneel to false idols, the ones who know the system is rigged, but still find a way to tear it open and slip truth in through the seams. It's the soil that remembers every scream buried beneath its highways. It's the kids rewriting the script with nothing but rust and resolve. You do. Not the government, not the empire, you. With your fists still up and your heart still open. America isn't great because of what it is. It's great because of what it could have been, what it still might be, if the ones that tried to silence become the ones who write the next verse. Greatness doesn't come from power. It comes from pain remembered, from truth spoken with teeth still bloodied from the last fight. You asked what makes it great, but maybe the better question is, who paid for it? Whose back was broken so this flag could wave? Whose tongue was cut so we could speak freely? Whose children were fed bullets with cages while the anthem played like a lullaby for the blind? This isn't a country, it's a stage. A production of freedom sold to the highest bidder while the extras bleed out off camera. You call it liberty? I call it leveraged breath. Try being free with a felony on your name, with your skin already tried before you speak, with healthcare priced like oxygen on Mars. We're addicted, not just to pills, but to illusion. Red, white, and blue colored dopamine. A country that made war a product and healing a privilege. Tell me how we fund missiles but can't feed the starving. How we cage men and women for addiction and call that justice, while the CEOs of Big Pharma swim in money-laundered blood. You say support the troops? Then why are they killing themselves at home faster than they were in combat? PTSD isn't a foreign wound. It's a silence we trained into them, then abandoned like faulty weapons. America isn't dying. It's already dead. You're just in love with the echo of its name. But I'm not here to mourn. I'm here to resurrect the truth. Not with bullets, but with verses carved into air sharp enough to make even the statues cry. So if you want to talk about greatness, then look past the skyline. Look beneath the soil, past the smoke and the slogans. Find the kids feeding themselves truth one rhyme at a time. Find the addicts who woke up and started building churches from their scars. Find the poor who refuse to stay quiet, even with a boot on their throat. That's America, not the dream, the awakening. Let them call it blasphemy. We were never here to pray. We came to unbury the bones, torch the script, and write a new gospel in soot. One where the forgotten stand taller than monuments, and truth doesn't need a flag to bleed loud.
Shit, man. Shit. There is so much in that I have almost no words because you took them all. You know, you really did. You're really, I can't think of any better way to say or reiterate or comment on what you have said. That is a piece that speaks first and foremost for itself. It is, and is, like you said before you started, a piece that very much needs to be heard, asks to be heard. But overall, I love the concept of it, the thesis, and to me, obviously there's a lot in it, right? And a lot of people are going to take their own little things out of that. You know, what I personally got out of it was, and you reiterated this multiple times, what is America? America is you. America is the people. And, you know, you had one line in there where you said, healthcare price like oxygen on Mars. That was one of my favorite fucking lines that was phenomenal. I was like, whew, man, but it was every line, and it was every subject that I felt like my piece kind of touched on, and then you just kind of tore it wide open, right? You know, tore the entire. That is a piece where it is very much, and you said it at the very beginning of your piece, I don't want to burn the flag, I just want to burn the blindfold, right? I want to pull back the curtain. I want to show you. And man, that is probably the best piece I've ever heard from you. Hands down, that piece could go national and win awards. Like, and that's the type of piece that I expect to hear from like buttonpoetry.com, which is a channel with 1 point something million subs. Like, that is one of those pieces that is just, man, I don't have fucking words for it other than just fucking well done. Just
I was like,
I'm speechless.
so reading that, like that's one of those pieces that like I'm like still shaking reading it. It's like it is very, to me it is very soul wrenching, kind of, you know.
So deep. You know, man, people don't want to fuck. It's and that's the thing. We've talked about this earlier on this episode and on past episodes, but you know, it's the stuff people don't want to talk about that needs to be talked about the most. You know,
Right.
you
it's
had a
not that
line.
people are blind. It's not that people are blind to it. It's just that they don't want to see it. A lot of people are so trapped within their own little world, or they're so, you know, numb to the things that are actually going on, that they're, you know, everybody's okay with just sitting on their phone scrolling through TikTok and whatnot, but nobody is.
And no one gives a shit. No one wants to give a shit because that takes effort and work. And who the fuck wants to work anymore? Nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to put in any effort anymore. And you had this line where you said vets are killing themselves faster at home than on the battlefield. That fucking hit. Not only because the price of healthcare and in turn psychiatric help is priced, as you put it, like oxygen on Mars, but also because people's empathy is an even lesser commodity than that. Sorry, an even rarer commodity is what I meant to say. Is an even rarer commodity than that. Simple human empathy is so hard to come by, and you know, and I don't want to, you know, I don't want to blow the whole men are these tortured poor little creatures trumpet, because I see a lot of people kind of take that too far and also take it way out of context. But there is a very real stigma in this country, especially about men being able to talk about their feelings, men being able to release their inner demons in any other way but through aggression. And you know, it when it comes out in those violent spurts or those tragic spurts, that's when that's when it's on the news. That's when people want to fucking pay attention. That's when, oh, he was the sweetest, kindest person ever. But nobody wants to take a look at the fucking problem while it's happening. And that's the case with whether it be, you know, PTSD and vets, or it be the fucking fentanyl and heroin epidemic, that in the course of me talking in just the last few moments, 3 to 4 people statistically have died of fentanyl or of a drug overdose or of a suicide.
Right.
And nobody wants to take a look at the problem. I have a few other pieces. The girl who loaned me a pencil and the man behind the mask who kind of get into that, but no one wants to take a look at the problem while it's happening. And that is the problem.
Exactly.
But that is probably where we're going to leave it for tonight, guys, because I can't think of any better place to leave it, honestly. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all the love and all the support and the likes and the comments. Speaking of which, please make sure you go to our YouTube and our Spotify and our TikTok and our Facebook. You will find full-length episodes up on YouTube and full-length episodes on Spotify, as well as clips on both YouTube and TikTok and Facebook. So please make sure you go follow us, give us a like, give us a shout out in the comments, because comments, believe it or not, are way more important than you think they are. Every comment goes a long way, especially on videos like this. So please make sure you give us a like, comment, go check us out on all those platforms. And if you are an artist who would like to come on the show, by all means, please message me on Facebook or TikTok at Dylan Lawler /LostBoy420X, Facebook or TikTok. And you can also email me at lostboy420x@gmail.com. You can also message Carnum here at Brendan Lawler on Facebook. So make sure you go and check that out. And if you would like to donate to us, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, anything at all, 10 cents, $10, everything helps. So we appreciate any support you can give us there. And with that being said, we will catch you next time, guys.
Been a pleasure.
Peace.